Lesley Joyce from Groove. It is
Hello.
so nice to see you.
It's nice to be seen.
Yeah, welcome to LMC Media. It's been a long time. My daughter is 19 and my son is almost 18. And I remember back in the day seeing you and singing with you.
Yes.
So congrats.
We call them Groove grads.
We are Groove grads. So congratulations to you for still being in business and
Thank
being in
you.
Larchmont, and you're celebrating
20 years on April 1st.
amazing.
Yeah.
So congratulations. That's beautiful.
It's gone really fast.
It does.
Yeah.
I mean, my kids are big now. It goes fast. So tell me a little bit about you and like your history and what brought you to where you are today, or 20 years ago when you started Groove.
Sure. So my family moved from Brooklyn. I know that's a very familiar story to many.
It is. Welcome, Brooklynites.
Yes, welcome Brooklynites in 2003. And at that time, I was a full-time stay-at-home mom and had discovered, thankfully, the music classes that were available for families. And it was really not something I knew about prior. I was a professional fundraiser. I worked in the arts many days and nights and, never slept. And then suddenly I was home with my lovely son, who's 28 now. And I really had to figure out what to do with my days. And so I stumbled on this music class, and he was about 4 months old. And it just sort of blew my mind because I didn't really know that kind of thing existed. And time went on, and I thought, wow, I have a degree in music. I love to sing. I spent most of my days singing, dancing, singing. And I thought, I could do that. I think I could do that. So I did some trainings, and then I was hired by a friend in Brooklyn who ran a space called Art Cetera on Smith Street when nothing else was on Smith Street. And she's really what inspired me when I moved to this community to say, okay, where are the music classes? And a lot of New Yorkers were moving, a lot of people from the city were moving to Westchester at that time. And I kept asking them, well, what was your favorite music class in the city? And I asked the people who were, longtime Larchmonters, what's your favorite music class here? And I wasn't getting a lot of response, but the people who came from the city said, oh, I loved this program I took in the city. And that happened to be the program I was teaching in Brooklyn a couple of days a week. And I said, well, if I started that class here, would you come? And it really started with my daughter's preschool class at Larchmont Temple in the 3s. And really, it grew organically from there. I thought, oh, I'll rent a space a couple of days a week. And then it just grew and grew. Probably because what drives me has always been music. I grew up in a musical family. I was telling you, my dad is 91 years old and still sings in a chorus.
Amazing. Good
My
for
daughter
him.
joined a chorus when she moved to New York City. She sang a cappella all through college. My son builds guitars for a living. He toured with a band. My mom she's a very good audience member. Let's just say, which we need. She's not the most musical person, but I was raised in a musical family. She appreciated it. She'd get a little nervous at times, but watching us, my sister and I in the school musical or whatever, but just because it wasn't something she could picture herself doing. It wasn't something that was encouraged when she was growing up, but I had the opposite experience. It was always encouraged. I played in an orchestra as a kid, and I just knew that when I had kids, that music would be such a huge part of our lives. And I wanted to offer that experience to everyone because not everybody, like my mom, was raised in a musical family. And there's such joy in even just like listening to music with your kids, singing to your kids, singing with your kids, being in a band with your kids, which I've experienced all of these things over the years, and it's just completely joyful.
It is. And so you started Groove.
So Groove came to be. I started in a storefront on Larchmont Avenue and then moved to a storefront on Chatsworth Avenue. Then I'm now again back on Larchmont Avenue across the street from the original. I moved into my space now in September of 2019.
So let me ask you, Groove,
Sure.
what you're targeting, like what age groups?
Most of the kids who come to Groove are between 0 and 6. That's really our sweet, sweet spot there. And people say, why would I bring a 3-month-old child to music class? Well, first of all, guess where you get to meet all the other parents
exactly.
who are challenged with the same challenges that you have as a new parent.
Right.
But also, again, like music is so universal. You know, there's no expectation at that age. It's more just exposing them to different sounds, different tempos, different volumes, which is, you know, volume is loud or soft, tempo is fast or slow. Kids pick up on these things in their bodies. You'll see them starting to pop.
Definitely.
You'll see a little tongue sticking out. I like to say they're figuring out where the music is coming from, you know. And then, so originally it was like 0 to 3, but then as my kids needed more support, like when they were 5, 6, or 7, and I couldn't find programming, I teamed up with a music school in Brooklyn, and I brought in a program for 4 to 8-year-olds. And that started about 6 years ago, just prior to the pandemic. And it's still running, thank goodness.
So you go up
everybody
to 8?
Needs it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a program called Music Explorers, which is the kids start at age 4. They go up to 8. It is different than any other music program that you've taken in that I'm not handing a kid an instrument and saying, let's learn how to play this. I'm handing a kid resources, musical fluencies, what is rhythm, what is harmony, what is melody, putting it into terms that they understand, but also it's game-based. So we'll play games. Harmony, for instance, major is sort of a happy feeling, right? Minor is sad. Kids can relate. What are things that make you happy? What are things that make you sad? If the tonality, the harmony is going to be a major, it's a happy song. Let's write a happy song. We write a lot of songs together, which is not something I thought that I could do as a grown-up, much less help 4 to 8-year-olds do. But kids,
at that level, they're exploring themselves or figuring it out, and they're making that progress. And you're seeing it happening before your eyes.
Right. My favorite thing to do is, you know, a 5-year-old will burst in the door and start telling me about how they spent the weekend with grandma and they went on a sled and they had hot chocolate. And I say, stop right there. I'm going to write that down. That's a song. And then we'll write a song about their experience at grandma's going down the sled. And, you know, it might be fast when we're going down the sled. It might be slow when we're drinking the hot chocolate. Their kids are innately musical. And so I just kind of like pull it out of them.
It's amazing. That's beautiful. That's really interesting and innovative.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. And the younger children is?
The younger children are group classes with grown-ups. And I like to think of it as the best 45 minutes of your week. As a parent or a caregiver, you can really have a musical, I call them musical moments, like you make musical moments with your kid. Even if it's just sitting and listening, there's no expectation. Grown-ups say, oh, I can't sing or I can't play. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Your kid wants to hear your voice. Your kid wants to look at you. And if you're jumping up and down, they sure are going to start jumping up and down. And then once the kids start really sort of moving around the room, there's something called groove jams, which is, you know, from like, you never know when your kid's going to start moving around the room, but it's up to age 3. So it's mostly 1s and 2s. And then there seemed to be a need for a very much more mobile class for 2s and 3s. So that's called groovers.
That's really wonderful. So if people want to actually find you, and it sounds like you have a lot of programs for different age groups.
Yes.
So how do they find you?
Well, that's so interesting. You should ask like that, Elka, because our website is findgroove.com.
Okay, good.
Findgroove.com. We're also right across the street from the Chatsworth Elementary School. It's a very busy, active corner. So if you happen to be, you know, grabbing dinner on Larchmont Avenue or whatever, just pass by the studio. We have lots of information in the windows. Our window, we have a corner. It's sort of like a fishbowl. You could even poke your head in and see what's going on. We also host birthday parties. We have a infant child CPR class that we offer every other month. I like to think of us as a gathering space as well as just a music space.
Thank you so much for coming, Lesley. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
It was an absolute pleasure seeing you again. It's been so long. And keep grooving.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too.
Thanks.